Have you heard of the chip shortage? It's affecting the automotive industry and all tech industries because there's not enough chips. The automotive industry has limited or cut production, and now they've decided to remove options and features. No heated seats? We're gonna jump into that and more as we see how the chip shortage is still around, how it's affecting other brands, but specifically Mazda.
More car vids. More car vids.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Sewell from Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, Alabama. And yes, today we're talking about the automotive chip shortage. To jump right in, let's remind ourselves of how exactly we got here. Well, when you go back to 2020, around March or April, whenever the pandemic quarantine lockdown started in this country, the automotive manufacturers, much like every other industry, shut down and said, hey, we're going to keep everybody safe and we're not going to produce cars. So with lack of production, there was lack of parts ordering, and most of your chip manufacturers said, hey, if they're not making cars, let's start making chips for Sony or Microsoft or whoever needs chips. So what happened is 60, 90 days later, when the manufacturers came back and said, hey, it's time to start making cars, they were 60 to 90 days behind on their supply of chips. So as they started to produce cars, by the end of 2020, they realized, I don't think we have enough chips to continue with this production. So what happened was they started soliciting from other companies saying, hey, we need chips, we need chips, we need chips. That brings us to the first quarter of 2021 when Japanese automotive manufacturers, Mazda included, were dealt a heavy blow of a fire at the number one producer of chips in Japan, and it wiped out a whole wing. So Mazda, much like others, Toyota, Honda, said, whoa, we're out of chips. We need to cut production again to make allocation or availability of chips for the cars we need to build. At that point in March of 2021 was the fire. In April, Mazda said, hey, we've got a real problem here, and pulled back all the upcoming orders of vehicles and said, sorry, US, no longer can you order cars, which means you just kind of get what you get and don't pitch a fit. So it became more of a get and take instead of order what you want. And although numbers were down, we just kind of continued with that right along up until the 2022 model years, which did get pushed back late till December, January of ETAs instead of the August, September that we were used to. So in December, or November actually, we were made aware of some changes in the 2022 CX-5 lineup. The Carbon Edition, this one, that beautiful CX-5 Carbon Edition that we all know and love, was going to come without the Bose. And I still don't know if it was a Bose issue with chips and modules or a specific Mazda Bose issue, like what they made for Mazda was not available. But they said, hey, we're going to give you a Bose credit and remove the Bose from the CX-5 Carbon Edition. Also, the new Preferred trim, which used to be a Touring with Preferred package, it's going to have a Bose credit also. So if you want Bose, you have to go to the new Premium model or higher if you want Bose. So I think that catches us up to about this point in time. So anyway, it's been 6 months roughly of 2022 models of Mazda, and they've been trickling in here or there. Well, if you remember, the last 3 months, so March, April, May, were the lowest amount of production that we've seen with Mazda and will see all year. So this summer, things have gotten pretty bare across dealers' lots. If you remember, when I went to Orlando, I checked out 2 dealerships, and there was only like 2 or 3 brand new cars on each of those dealerships. So we need a ramp up of production. Fortunately, June saw that little ramp up of production. July and August are seeing a little bit more, and September on is going to match the highest level of production we've seen all year, which goes all the way back to January. July, August, pretty good. September, great. However, there may be a cost with this. We had a pretty good allocation last week, and of course, as we're working into that July increased production, we expected more cars on allocation. This get what you get, take what you get allocation. But I was looking at the CX-5s and I said, something's a little bit different here. And as I dove down deep, yes, the Carbon Edition does have the Bose credit, which was actually $440 worth of savings for lack of Bose quality sound and the extra speakers. However, there was something else, a Liftgate credit. And I said, wow, so the Carbon Edition won't have the Bose nor the Liftgate moving forward. So it seems like, hey, more vehicles, but less features. But then I went and looked at the CX-5 Premium that we were allocated, and it had a Bose credit and a Liftgate credit as well. So that means that the old Grand Touring, new Premium, will no longer have Bose nor Power Liftgate either. So it seems moving forward that if you want Bose or gotta have Bose and gotta have a Power Liftgate, you have to go with the Premium Plus and up. Can't really fathom a Premium without Bose and Power Liftgate, but I did a little digging and it seems like the CX-30 Premium has a Bose credit as well. Now I did not see a Power Liftgate credit, so maybe the CX-30 Premium will still have a Power Liftgate, and I didn't check the higher models as well, but I assume that they will have Bose and Power Liftgate, much like the CX-5s. Now you may be wondering why Mazda's doing this. Well, of course, if chips are still limited, Mazda is faced with a couple of tough decisions. Do I just X out production altogether and mean that we just wait till the chips catch up? Will it be just another couple of months? Well, it seems that Consumer Reports addressed that and said that originally they expected next year, 2023, to catch up. Now they're expecting it to be an additional year of 2024 or 2025. So we could still be 3 years away from having all the chips that we want to produce all the cars that we want. Now, if I have to choose, of course, I'm an employee at a dealership right now that currently has 0 new cars in stock. If I had to choose, I would say build the cars, we'll take the credits, we'll take the cars without the features, and I'd rather have cars than not have cars. And I hope you agree with me as consumers. To put it in perspective, Mazda is still handling this shortage a lot better than other manufacturers. For example, GM first started with this feature decontenting back last year when they gave you a $50 credit to remove the start and stop feature, which most people were okay with because they didn't really care about the start and stop feature to begin with. Who cares if it saves a mile or 2 per gallon? Well, maybe at $5 a gallon you care. And now most recently, GM has been pulling features such as USB charging points, heated seats, no heated seats, and heated steering wheels. And we know that the CX-9 in its last year, the CX-9, because the CX-90 is coming, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but the CX-9 in the last year, they're kind of taken the black wheels and put them on a Touring and called it a Touring Plus. Well, now the Touring Plus, as of a couple of months ago, won't have Bose either. So let's jump into that new crossover, the CX-90, that's supposed to be coming out. I think I've talked about before, but most of you heard that it may be delayed from that August-September timeframe to possibly early 2023. Have not heard a confirmation on that yet, but I know that it has to do with chips. They don't want to release a vehicle, although there's some that have already been produced, and some people, not me, have already seen these vehicles. They're going to hold off on launching it until they have the right allocation or supply of chips to kind of roll forward with that. Of course, for those of you overseas, you will see a CX-60 by the end of the year. And again, new crossovers, they might be using those chips for the CX-60 because this new powertrain, a plug-in hybrid, requires more chips than traditionally. So, hey, we got to start somewhere. So for now, we've got more cars coming, but less equipment. And I'm okay with that because I'd rather have a car, a 2022 CX-5, CX-9, Mazda 3, CX-30, whatever the case is. I'd rather have it sitting out there Maybe without the bows, without the power liftgate, but with all the great Mazda features and the great Mazda drive. And I hope you agree with me. So stay tuned to your local Mazda, as over the next couple of months, inventory should build up. They should maybe actually have some come in that aren't pre-sold. And then we can have that conversation of which new vehicle, new package you want, with the bows or without the bows, with the power liftgate or without the power liftgate. Now, I don't know if we're going to continue to see a 2.5S or a lot of selects. As they're decontenting these higher trims, they may continue to make the higher trims over the lower trims. We'll have to wait and see. As always, I'll be here on the boulevard with my ear to the ground for all the latest Mazda news, and I'll continue to watch the automotive chip shortage because it seems to be changing everything every couple of months. So I'll be here, you'll be there, and I hope to see you on the next one.